to his son Yahweh. We had a Battle Axes of Most High just coming at you again, just to bring you some edification. Do a quick video just to keep brothers and sisters in the spirit while we're going through the Passover. Something quick, something light, but something to feed the spirit nevertheless, right? First off, we just thank the brothers and sisters around the congregation, around Israel, keeping this Passover that did keep the Passover or going to. Thank you, brothers and sisters all across the four corners of the earth, right? The Most High God put it on our spirit to do so, right? You know, hey, shout out to all the brothers that will be coming. Battle Axes come turn up with us. I know Brother Yaakov is coming. Brother KJV in the building. Hey, Shalom Malak. Hey, I was just talking about you. I shoot. All praise it. I heard that you get to be in the building, man, for the Passover, man. So, nevertheless, man, we just coming out to give a little edification. Just keep, like I said, keep brothers and sisters in the spirit. Title of the class is Spirit During Passover. So like as we're going through this Passover, like of course we're having a good time and joyous about it, but we gotta understand and be mindful about what the Passover is, right? And we know captains and everyone go they've been going deep into it. We're gonna go through a extensive class going to, this Sabbath coming up. But the Passover, like we gotta understand, like I hope brothers and sisters been reading within the Exodus, learning about our people, right? How we came about with Moses, ultimately the Most High God and His Son, bringing us out with a strong and mighty hand, right? But we just gotta understand the spirit that we're supposed to be having during this thing, right? And not think too much carnally, but in the spiritual aspect, right? First precept we're gonna get is Galatians 5:16. It's my new sword too, so y'all just bear with me. It's the one I had in the car. I keep me one. The water, the water. There we go. The book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 16. This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. So when we in this Passover, right, we gotta understand that hey, we walking in the spirit of this thing, right? Trying to get the spirit of being joyous, right? Trying to feel these things, right? Trying to get out the living out of our spirit, right? Trying to keep this thing with joyfulness and gladness, right? Not trying to be like our forefathers that once we got to the wilderness, remembered and complained, right? We try to make choice of all these things when we come into this truth, right? He always said, hey, he said, walk in the spirit, right? Don't fulfill the lust of the flesh, right? Because we did get out the livings out of our hearts, right? We got the livings out of our heart, but we also got to get the living out of our household, right? Both physically and spiritually, right? So we know that our body is the temple, right? First Corinthians 3:16. We understand that. So the thing is, it can be a lot of things that can be trying to get into you to fill you up with living, right? Sin, lust, concupiscence, anything, a prideful spirit, anything can come upon you, right? So we know the devil working, right? Guess what? To pull you out of the spirit, to make you grow some living, right? That you ain't had none, right? Or maybe to even eat some things, cause we know Esau's so wicked. They put anything in our food, right? To living it up, even with the water, right? That's crazy. That's why we say we walk in the spirit, right? We ain't walking with the flesh, right? But verse 18. But if ye are led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Because we already know if we read on down, matter of fact, I'll read on down. It says, verse 19, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. And this is going through all the things that our people, hey, we might go through when we're going through this Passover, right? Adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the past, that they which do such things they shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Hey man, all these things, guess what? All these things can be the things that we go through, right, during this Passover, but even in general. So we got to watch out for these things and take heed, right? You gotta understand, guess what? All these things, guess what? Any of that living get in your spirit, guess what? The most High, hey, he said you're not gonna inherit the kingdom of God. And we know this is the most important time, right? To get out that living, get out that sin about our body, right? Coming into the new year, trying to create ourselves in a new heart, a new mind, right? So we gotta do these things, right? So the next precept we're gonna get Of course, so next, just small precepts. That's just how we should be walking in the spirit, right? Next precept we're gonna get is Sirach chapter 31. We're gonna start at verse 25. Ooh, Salaki. There we go. Because like we understand how we gotta be in the spirit, but like some of these things can pull us out of the spirit, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 31, and start at verse 25. Show not thy valiantness in wine, for wine hath destroyed many. So, hey, guess what? We having a good time amongst Israel, right? We having a good time. We drinking merry, right? As we're going to read down. But it said, don't drink valiantly like you just a mighty man or a mighty woman. I can drink more than you. I'm better than you. Guess what? Captain, you can drink this much. I can too. Or sister, you can drink like this. I can too. Guess what, man? Don't do that because it destroy many, right? You get caught up, right? You get caught up in the mix, right? Guess what, man? Hey, drink how you need to drink, man. Have a good time amongst each other, right? Verse 26. It says, the furnace proveth the edge by dipping. So doeth wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. Because guess what? Your true colors going to show once you get drunk, right? You're going to see how you really feeling, how your heart, right? Because it's going to pour it out. So we know the heart is desperately wicked, right? Guess what? Verse 27. Wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunken moderately, right? What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. This is the point, though. Wine measurably drunk and in season bringeth gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind. Because guess what? This is the season. This is the season to drink wine and be merry, right? Kind of makes a little strong drink, have a good time amongst each other, right? Because it's the season for it, right? But guess what? It said measurably drunk. Knowing your limit, brothers and sisters. Guess what? We're coming to do the Lord's work, right? This is Lord's work. Celebrating this Passover, joyfulness and gladness of heart, because guess what? All these things that was contrary, like that idolatry, adultery, all these things, lasciviousness, all these things can pull us out of the spirit, right? And hinder us from doing the walk, right? But it said all these things, right? Guess what? Now, if you're not following it, right? Guess what? Verse 29. But wine drunken with excess, right? You overdid it, right? You just doing too much. Being greedy, right? Now you falling into one of them things we just read, right? That's out of the spirit, right? Bringeth gladness. Salaki, verse 29 again. But wine drunken with excess, making bitterness of the mind, right? Now you now you done fell off, right? Now you out of the spirit, right? Now guess what? The Lord ain't dealing with you. So now you starting to think people saying something about you. Now you thinking all these things, right? Now you getting bitterness of the mind, right? With brawling and with quarreling, right? Guess what? Now you getting mad. Now you getting tender. Now you getting tender and delicate, right? The curses that you think you're trying to get away from, now that you're drunk, you falling back into them, right? Verse 30, drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend. Guess what, man? You drink too much, and guess what? If you were naturally mad and mean and spiteful person, guess what? It's gonna bring up out of you, right? And so ultimately, guess what? How it said? It said till it offend, right? Because you probably gonna offend. You gonna offend with somebody out there. You can probably offend yourself too, right? Because guess what? It diminishes strength. Because guess what? You can't control yourself. You staggering, you wobbling. You can't control how you walking, can't control how you moving, right? And make it wounds. Because guess what, boy? Sometimes when brothers and sisters wake up, damn, my head hurt. Damn, I got a bruise on my leg. Guess what? You don't remember nothing that you did. We come to find out you don't fought your brother. You don't fought your sister at the Passover. Because you thought she said this when she ain't said not a damn thing to you. But guess what? You got pulled out of the spirit because guess what? You was being valiant through your wine, right? You weren't drinking immeasurably, right? You weren't drinking to be glad because guess what? You probably still had some living in your heart, right? Guess what? You was drinking for strife, right? You was drinking for anger, right? You was just drinking because you just felt like you could pop the biggest bottle. Now guess what? Now you out of the spirit, man. You not in Christ's world, right? Shalom, sister, shalom. Guess what? You're not in this world. You're not in Israel world. Now you in the world, right? Now you falling into this lasciviousness and hatefulness and envying and strife and all these things that we read about, right? Guess what? Now you out of the spirit, right? And guess what, man? And guess what? It make it wounds, and guess what? You lose a lot of friends too. Hey, shalom, Bruce, shalom. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. How you doing? Next precept we're gonna get, man. While we're gonna piggyback off that drink, man. We gotta get the classic, First Peter 5 and 8, man. Because hey, we know wine. It goes. It's double fold, but that precept for sure that we read, it was talking about actual wine. But we know it's spiritual wine too. Go to Micah, 2:11. But the thing is, with us knowing that, guess what? We got to stay in the spirit, because guess what? This is the reason. During the Passover, guess what? You get too much wine, or guess what? Even all these things, right? All these things, man, can get us and overtake us, right? And guess what? Now you out of the spirit, right? Hey, all praise. I just got out of work. I see, got out of work doing that job. I got to do my real job, right? The book of First Peter, chapter 5, verse 8, right? Be sober, be vigilant, because hey, we got to understand this thing, man. Guess what? We got to be sober in this thing, because hey, we can drink in moderation, drink to get a little tipsy, do what you do, right? If that's your moderation, that's your moderation. Don't overdo it, because guess what? You lose sight of yourself. Guess what? You lose sight of the kingdom. Now you just that same nigga or that same woman that you was before, right? Guess what? If you drink the moderation, guess what? You still that king, you still that prince, you still that princess, right? You still that thing, and you're holding the honor and glory, right? Because you done drink in moderation, you still in the spirit, you partying with your brothers. You don't drink too much, because guess what? Now you ain't paying attention to your surroundings. Guess what? Now you thinking somebody talking about you, but guess what? If you were sober and vigilant, everybody just having a good time, right? It says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking who he may devour. Because guess what, man? Hey, this is double fold for that thing, man. Because guess what? This is a spiritual thing, and it's a spiritual thing and a physical thing, man. Salaki, man. Because guess what, man? Spiritually, guess what? You might have heard a ridiculous doctrine this week during the Passover. Guess what? Somebody brother might have come up and made you question your faith, right? And guess what? Now you thinking, well, dang, is it this? Or guess what? A Jewish person come up to you, well, this really ain't your Passover. Let me tell you, or something contrary to what you've been learning and taught before, right? Something to get you out of the spirit, or something to get you wandering. And guess what, man? Guess what? He trying to toss you away with every wind of doctrine, right? Soothe you away, seduce you with that wine of the world, right? Even physically, right? Drinking too much, right? So we gotta understand, but these things go one and the same, man. So we gotta be smart about this thing, Israel. Being sober, being vigilant, so we can have a good time amongst each other and remember the goal and the sight, right? Because all this is to please the Most High God, right? And to please man. So guess what, man? If you're not being sober, guess what? You're doing that to the Most High God, right? Ultimately, you're not doing that to the people in front of you, man. You a double downer, man. You're doing it to everybody, right? But last little spill, man. Like I said, the class wasn't gonna be too long, man. But it's just trying to keep brothers and sisters in the spirit, man, because we got to be sober and be vigilant in this thing, man, so that we can have a good time, right, amongst our people. Last little spill, man. We're going to go to Exodus, man. We're going to go to chapter 15, and we're going to start at 1. So if y'all haven't been reading Exodus, man, chapter 15 is when they done just crossed over the Red Sea, right? Pharaoh and them just got swallowed up by the water and everything. Guess what? The Most High was doing his marvelous work, right? Moses led the people on the other side, and this is the first thing that they did when they got on the other side, right? The book of Exodus, chapter 15, verse 1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord. Guess what, man? They was happy and they were joyous, man, that they got brought out of this bondage. Guess what? Out of all the trials and tribulation they went through, they got free, right? This is why they was happy. They sang, man. Guess what? That's what we got to do, Israel. Guess what? When we hear them Israelite songs, or guess what? Not even those songs, man. When we hear about the glory of the Most High God, man, we sing, we give him his glory, right? As he should, right? It said unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. Guess what, man? This is a glorious thing, man. The Most High God did this thing for us, right? Verse 2. The Lord is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will prepare him a habitation, my father's God, and I will exalt him, right? The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Guess what, man? We know the Most High God is a man of war. Guess what? That's a glorious thing when he triumph over our enemies, right? And guess what? The magicians did us wrong for that time. And guess what? Most High God got his get back for us, right? We got to get that same thing for him, right? Because we know we ain't doing this thing physically, right? Doing it spiritually. We know we're giving him all the honor and glory. When we go out on them highways and byways, guess what? We're doing the will of the Father, right? Because that's what he would want us to do, right? To walk in his son's image, right? Ultimately his, right? Guess what? Verse 4. Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the sea, right? I read on them, read verse 6. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, had dashed in pieces the enemy. So we know the right hand going into Christ ultimately, man. I won't even get too deep into it, but hey, guess what? We know these things, right? And guess what? If not, man, guess what? Get in contact with leadership. Hey, well, guess what? We will teach all these things, man, if we have to, right? We're gonna drop down to 13 though. Verse 13. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Yes, Israel, we always been redeemed. We always been chosen of the Lord from the beginning, man. Guess what? We can get Isaiah 45 and 4, Isaiah 44 and 1. Guess what? We always been those people that's been chosen, been redeemed to be his own, right? We always been these people, right? Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. Guess what, man? Guess what? Ultimately, we went there right there at that moment. But guess what? Hey, this is you going to that land of milk and honey, right? And we got to look at this, man. As we going through our trials and tribulations, guess what? The Lord leading us with a mighty hand. Because guess what? He showed us His truth. He's showing us the way that we should go. So guess what? Whenever He do lead us away from this Egypt right now, and we see Him put the enemies at His footstool. Guess what? We're gonna be happy. And we're gonna do the same thing Moses and the children of Israel did back then, man. We can't lose sight of this, right? Because this is all it was for, right? I gotta get it. Verse 14. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestine. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Guess what, man? All these other nations, man, when they see like, dang, this is the Lord. Dang, they really was the true Jews. Dang, I'm really not gonna get saved. Damn, the Lord really is black. Dang, I thought He was for everybody. Damn, He only for the children of Israel. Guess what? Edom gonna be amazed, bro. Guess what? Moab too. The mighty men of Moab, because they think they running something, right? Guess what? It's gonna trembling is gonna take hold of them, right? And all the inhabitants of Canaan, right? All you stanky Africans, man. Oh man, oh no, God is for you, not me. Okay, I'm sorry. But this same, I can't get jiggy with it, right? Hey, guess what? Y'all are gonna get it, right? Verse 16: Fear and dread shall fall upon them by the greatness of thine arm, right? By the Mashak Yahweh, right? They shall be as still as a stone till thy people pass over, right? O Lord, till the people pass over which thou hast purchased. Because guess what? We was bought with a price. Like that First Corinthians 3:16, right? We was bought with a price. Guess what? Now we got to pay it back, right? This is our payback, right? This is the only thing that we can get back. This is our reasonable service, right? According to Romans chapter 10 and 2, or 12 and 1. Salaki. Matter of fact, let me get that, because I don't even want to lead y'all wrong. Salaki. The book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Because guess what? That's our reasonable service, Israel, to pay back what the Lord has done for us, right? By getting us out of Egypt, spiritually and physically, right? Back then and even now, right? Freeing us out of this Christianity strongholds, these Islam, any of these doctrines that's contrary to what we've been learning now in this truth, right? No, I'll pray to the Most High for giving us this chance, right? A fighting chance to make it to the kingdom, right? Guess what, man? That's the best thing we could have asked for, right? And then this Passover, guess what? We gotta understand. We gotta take that thing, right, with joyfulness, man. Because guess what? It could have been somebody else, but it wasn't. It was you. So we gotta understand these things, Israel, man, for real. I'm gonna jump down to verse 18. The Lord shall reign forever and ever, man. Guess what? Because the Most High God, guess what? He's never gonna end, right? Ancient of days, and guess what? When the Son Yahweh shall rule on the field, guess what? He's gonna rule forever too, right? So we gotta understand these things, Israel. It's only for a temporary moment, right? I know that we want to keep the spirit of the Passover the whole 7 days, 8 days. Guess what? Lord willing, we make it to the kingdom. We're gonna turn up every single day, man. Captivity get the best of us, hey, but we can't forget the prize, right? Because that's what we're trying to get for. Because hey, out of Ox been bringing it out, Judges 5 and 11. This is a righteous rehearsal, right? Even that Captain Yard brought it out today. Hey, guess what? It's righteous rehearsal, man. We got to keep doing these things, right? We drop down to verse 20. More verse 19. I just read it through. For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots, and with his horsemen into the sea. And the Lord brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. This only time when you read, when you see, but the children of Israel actually did the right thing, right? I mean, there's times we did it before, but it's just a joke, man. Because hey, we some hard-headed rebellious people. But guess what? I know, hey, I'm an Israelite, and hey, a lot of my brothers, we can't swim. So when it's time to get to that dry land, guess what? I know we made haste to that thing, right? But this the point, man. This the point of the whole thing, right? Verse 20. And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. Guess what, man? When they made it to that dry land, when they made it to safety, when they see the destruction of the enemy, guess what? They danced, they sung. That little timbrel, they were, doing that little jig, man. They dancing because guess what? This is a joyous thing that the Most High God, man, triumphed over our enemies right in front of us, right? And that's the thing we got to take back, man. This is the spirit that we should have, right? The spirit of happiness, man, that we've been freed from this bondage, right? This spiritual bondage, right? We know that we're still in physical bondage, but guess what? The Most High God lifting our burdens up every day, right? Because guess what, man? It's like as soon as I get off work, I got a lot of energy. I might be at work, and guess what? When I feel like, dang, I'm tired, that's why I get a little energy. Guess the Most High God give you a little bit. He always give you a little bit to make it through the day. We always complain as a group of people, but the Most High God always make it way for us, right? He always make it. Guess what? Them bills gonna get paid, whether brother and sister get help or not. Guess what? We gonna help. Guess what? Most High God gonna make a way, man, and we gotta be glorious and happy that the Most High God do these things for us, right? In verse 21, and Miriam answered them, "Sing ye to the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea." Man, guess what, man? Moses and children of Israel did it, and guess what? They turned around. They did it again, right, with Miriam, right? But guess what, man? It gotta be all across the board, men, women, and children, right? We all gotta stay in this spirit, right? We all gotta keep this spirit during the Passover, right? Because that's what our forefathers and our foremothers did. It. We gotta do the same thing, right? And if not, guess what? We're gonna fall in the same thing that they used to do, right? Falling back into the curses, right? So we gotta look forward, not backwards, Israel, right? But with that, I'm gonna say shalom. Thank you, brothers and sisters that tuned in today. Like I said, it's gonna be a short class, nothing crazy. But like I said, just to give out the little edification that we need, right? To feed our spirit going into this weekend. You know, us as Battle Axes, hey, we're gonna have a good time this weekend amongst each other, having a good time at the ball, at the port, and let's continue to gather, right? Even across all four corners of this earth, I pray to brothers and sisters keeping this Passover. The feast on unleavened bread, because this thing hold a lot. It hold a lot, man. This was our first captivity, and guess what? Lord willing, this our last captivity, right? And guess what, man? I just please pray, hey, how we got out of Egypt this first time, hey, I hope I can be just like Moses and them and sing that song when we get out of this second Egypt, right? But with the battle axes, we always finish with a law. The law we're gonna get, we're just gonna get it like how we always been getting it this week. Leviticus chapter 23, and we're gonna start at verse number 6, verse 4. The book of Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations. You shall proclaim in their seasons. This is the commandment that we have to do, Israel. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover, right? It's not ours Passover. It's not Battle Axes Passover. It's not Sakara's. It's not IUIC's. It's the Lord's Passover, right? So that's what we got to remember this too, right? Remember what we're doing it for, Israel. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. So, brothers and sisters, make sure I eat that unleavened bread. Hey, shout out Sister Genesis, man. Hey, that unleavened bread she made for me, it was busting for real, man. But all praises for them sisters, man. That's doing the work, man. Getting unleavened bread for us, right? But verse 7. In the first day ye shall have a holy convocation. We shall do no servile work therein. That's what we did this past Tuesday, right? Tuesday evening, right? And guess what? Verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7 days in holy convocation ye shall do no servile work therein, right? So like I said, man, guess what? The first day and the last day, guess what? They just like the Sabbath. Hey, I hope brothers and sisters we got edified during this class. Like I said, it's gonna be a short class, but just to feed the spirit nevertheless. And I just please pray you brothers have a good Passover, have a good rest of y'all week going into this Sabbath. But it's pre-Shabbat, going into the actual Sabbath on, at the evening, coming in on Friday evening, Saturday evening. Now just please pray that your brothers have a good rest of your week, man. And hey, us at Battle Axes, hey, Lord willing, we're gonna have a good time this weekend. But with that, I want to say shalom.